Hey everyone, we're live. Thanks for joining. Uh, I will screen share with you to present this webinar. The title today is Mindset Blocks that are keeping creative entrepreneurs broke, and a few tips to better deal with them and how to overcome them. First a bit about myself. My name is Mihai Herman. I'm a business coach. I help creative entrepreneurs and especially millennials become successful. I help people overcome their blocks, but I also help them with marketing strategies. I've started working online about 6 years ago. I've graduated power engineering, but I've decided to leave that aside and pursue my dream to become an entrepreneur in September 2014. Right now, I'm living off the money I make online, and I run 3 websites together with my fiance. Four websites actually, that together get around 100,000 page views every month. Hey Diane, thanks for joining. Hey Wouter, hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Okay, let's get started. So, if you had any of the following negative voices in your head ever, this webinar is for you. Because we're going to talk about negative voices like, who am I to be an expert? Everything I do has to be 100% original. Why charge for my knowledge if anyone can do this? Which is a very big block and can keep you broke. I will never be like XYZ, or I don't have the money to start a successful business. Most of them are excuses, but we'll deal with them in a few seconds. But first, I want to tell you there is a gift that you can access by clicking the button below. It's $497 in value, and it expires at the end of the webinar. You get 90 minutes of coaching with me and a full website review. I'm not going to talk about that longer because you're here to hear the content I want to share with you. Okay. The first part of this webinar is I'm going to talk about 2 very important tips that will help you better deal with these mindset blocks. 2015 was a tough year for me, but at the same time very rewarding in terms of self-improvement, self-development, because I've managed to I've managed to become aware of my limitations, of my blocks. I definitely have a long time to go to overcome them, if I will ever overcome them. But the first step is to become aware of these blocks. But once you become aware of these blocks, you might feel like they're getting worse. This particular issue gave me a lot of tough days in 2015. But I've realized that when you're working with blocks, the very first step is to become aware. And that's how you actually take their power away. But when you become aware, you might see that particular pattern in many other situations in your own life. You see that pattern, and the first reaction is to panic and be like, oh my God, I'm not healing, I'm actually getting worse. But you need to realize that it is normal. It's how change works. Let's do an exercise to better understand this concept. Try to look around your room or office or wherever you are in park, and count all the green objects that you can see. take 5 seconds to count all the green objects. Now my question is, how many red objects did you see? Probably none, right? Because that's exactly how this becoming aware works. Once you become aware, you only focus on the green objects. You only see them, and you couldn't see them before. The same over the next few days or even weeks after you become aware of a particular block, you will see that pattern, that thought pattern, appear more often in your life. But the fact that you're actually noticing it means that you are in control. The second tip is, just because you become aware does not mean that you're done with a particular block. And I want to talk about how change happens. I've discovered in the past few months that change happens in 2 stages. First stage is that you understand a principle, a lesson, a thought pattern. You become aware of it at a conscious level. And it might take weeks, months, or even years until you understand that at a cellular level. You kind of integrate that in your own system. You feel it. You probably can go back in time and realize that you actually integrated one lesson the moment you felt it. The moment you felt it with your whole body, you understood it at a deeper level than before. Change takes time. Imagine that those blocks that you have, those patterns of negative thinking, were formed probably in 20 or even 30 years. It depends on how old you are. And allow yourself at least 1 year to change some of those patterns. Okay? Think about the daylight. It doesn't go from an 8-hour to a 16-hour day overnight. It has small changes every day that actually create those amazing results. It's the same with you. You need to consciously decide every day that you want to overcome that block, that you want to continue to become aware of that block, and that you control it and not the other way around. I like to think of it like meditation. If you try to meditate, you realize that meditation is actually the fact of observing your thoughts. When you remind yourself of one particular block, you have to see it like meditation. You shouldn't get mad at yourself because you indulge in some thoughts. The fact that you realize that particular thought proves that you are in fact meditating, that you are in fact in control of that particular block. So cherish every moment that you indulge in some of those thoughts that you did in the past. As long as you are aware of them, it's really okay. This was the first part, the part about the tips. And as a conclusion is to give yourself time to work with these patterns and accept that you might go back, but they don't have the same power over you as they did in the past. You might go back and think the old way for a few hours, a few days, but you will not go back forever. As long as you keep yourself at an aware state. Hi, Elinor. Thanks for joining. Why does change takes time? I know. It's a tough lesson, and probably the toughest lesson for me in my entire life is to accept the process, of change, accept the process of becoming successful, and overcome that excitement or that need to actually just get there and enjoy the journey more, because it's all about the journey in the end, right? But it's a tough lesson, and as with the other tough thought patterns, you need to make a decision every day that you want to stick to that, to be disciplined actually. And we get to the juicy part. The juicy part where we will actually talk about the mindset blocks that entrepreneurs struggle with. How I discovered these blocks is by working on myself. I work with a coach for the past, I believe, 9 months, and I've worked on these particular blocks. But I also discovered these blocks in my clients, and in the awesome communities that I'm part of, like B School or Sensafi or a lot of other communities for entrepreneurs. And I see these are probably the most common blocks that I've seen. And we're going to start off with one of my favorite, let's put it this way. Who am I to be an expert, or to teach people, or to have lots of clients, or to help people be happy, healthy, and wealthy? This is especially with coaches, with consultants, with strategists, and most of the creative people. I'm really sure this sounds familiar. If not, I congratulate you, and this will definitely push you forward. Unfortunately, we tend to have this block because of our nature of being creative, of seeing things in a different way. We had to deal with a lot of negativity and doubt and shame in the past. At least that was my experience, because I always tended to see things from a different perspective. And that negativity lowered our self-esteem and brought a lot of voices, mostly bad, unfortunately, in our head, that either talk us out of everything that might prove we are worthy, or laugh at us for being too naive, or being dreamers, or unrealistic. Okay? Please do me a favor and cross people off your list of friends that tell you to be realistic. Okay? I first heard this idea at Robin Sharma. You're probably familiar with his work, a big leadership expert, and I truly loved it. The truth is that you can be an expert, and you most probably already are an expert. You only need to give yourself credit for who you are and what you know. Love yourself more, accept yourself more, and go out there in spite of all the voices, in spite of all the doubt and negativity and all that. I don't want to say a bad word. How can you move past this particular block? Again, the first step is to become aware of it, and of all the ways it shows up in your life. The second step is to work on your self-esteem. This will do wonders for you, because it will help you feel more worthy of anything. And besides increasing your business, it will also increase your level of happiness, joy, and balance. Okay? A great book that I recommend, and a book that played a very important role in my life, is The Six Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. It's not your usual book. You have to actually study the book. He offers a lot of exercises in the book that you can do every day to increase your self-esteem. But I can guarantee that if you do it, it works, and you don't have to study the whole book to work. You don't have to do all the exercises to work. Just do whatever you feel it's necessary for you. Okay. The third step is to work with a coach. That was my experience, and I read a lot of self-improvement books over the years, and bought a lot of courses, spoke with a lot of business people, but really the biggest impact was to actually work with a coach. I believe that every coach needs a coach, and as Steve Chandler said, that you cannot go deeper with the client than you've been with yourself. That's why it's very important to work with a coach. Oftentimes, as coaches, we tend to overlook some aspects in our own life because we don't want to become aware of them. But when you work with a coach, he will show you where you need to work, even if you don't want to see that. Let me drink some water. Okay, the second block is that everything I do has to be 100% original. This particular block had me stuck for a lot of time. I've wanted to launch this business coaching business for about 2 years before I actually launched it. But I was too afraid to put myself out there. It was also low self-esteem, the imposter syndrome. I felt like I was a fraud because I didn't have anything 100% original. But there has been studies that show that one can come with something original after about 10 years of working in a particular field. So you need to allow yourself the time to fail and to use other people's material in your own way. You don't copy paste that, but you can use other people's work, books, courses, PDFs, videos, or whatever it is, to get inspired. But because only a few people in the world are actually producing original material, but that doesn't mean they are the only ones making money. Okay. Do you know what actually makes your material unique? It doesn't matter if it's your book, your article, your course, your services, or whatever your offer is. Your story. Your story has the power to make anything original. Your story will make people come back to your website for more of your work, your articles, your courses, or whatever you're selling. People have shared almost the same principles and ideas for centuries, but their stories and their different perspective on the same lesson make those principles sound unique. Your story will help your clients, your fans, to connect with you on a deeper level, to see you as an expert, to come back for more of what you offer. Your story will help people thrive. Your story will actually makes you unique and attracts the right clients. And your story helps you connect with your potential clients on a deeper level. And that will lead to more sales from your part. Remember that it can be the same principles, lessons, strategies that someone else is using, but your story makes them unique. So be bold. Don't be afraid to share your gifts to the world. Be bold and go out there. It's really worth it. And I'm really talking from my own experience, because I kept myself hidden for too long, which I believe to be my biggest mistake in business. I was always afraid to put myself in front of the business because I was afraid of being judged, because I thought I don't have anything original, because I thought I was not worthy, because I thought my story is not worth it. But each story is unique, and your uniqueness will attract the right customers. The third block is, why charge for my knowledge? It's so simple. And you've probably dealt with this block if you're working in a creative field, because the real truth here is that it's only simple for you, not for your clients. It's only simple for you. That's why they come to you. That's why they are looking for help. So you need to charge your worth. If you've been doing this, coaching, design, consultancy, writing, or whatever you're doing for a long time, you feel like everything is so simple. You feel like, but you need to go back in time and connect yourself to the exact moment you've actually learned that thing that you now feel like it's simple for the first time. Was it simple back then? Would you pay money to someone to actually teach you that lesson, that principle, or to help you build a website or design a website, a cover, or whatever you're selling? I'm sure you would. It's simple because you did that particular thing for 1,000 times. You studied your industry for years. It's simple because of all the money that you've invested in courses and in books over the years. And it's also simple because of countless of hours that you've put into figuring out certain things in your particular industry. That's why it's simple. And if you did this for 1, 2, or 5 years, you feel like it's super simple. It's okay to charge money for your time and for your knowledge. It's actually wise. Otherwise, you're not running a business. You are just kind of running a hobby. But I'm sure you would rather make money from your hobby than to go work for a corporation. Let me see if I want to share something more here. No. I just want you to do me a favor here and to put yourself first on your priority list. A lot of people feel like they need to help others, but that doesn't mean you neglect yourself. That doesn't mean you cannot charge money for that. That doesn't mean you don't have to eat yourself. Okay? Not yourself, to eat. That sounded awkward. Okay, and we got to the fourth block. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me see what Diane asked. I don't know if the webinar has started for everyone, but I still see the static video screen message. Diane, you need to click on the play. It should start. I'm logged in on the page as well, and for me it's working. Does anyone experience the same problem? Press the play button. So it's working for you, Eleanor. Thank you. Yeah, Diane. Diane, just click play and it should start. I'm sorry you missed the first part of this, but you can always catch the replay. And I will also send out an email with a bonus PDF that deals with 13 mindset blocks. Cool. The fourth block is that everything that I do has to be perfect in order for me to be successful, make money, be satisfied, and so on. This is the perfection that is trying to lead the way. Everything has to be perfect, otherwise it won't work. I'm wasting my time. I'm not worthy, or even worse, I'm a failure. Diane, let me know if it's working now. Thank you. I wish you'd say that nothing sounds familiar to you, but I know there are a lot of perfectionists out there, especially if you are an entrepreneur. You feel like everything that you do has to be perfect. Every minute that you spend working on your business has to be valuable or has to bring amazing results, because you have to pay bills at the end of the month. But usually perfectionism appears because you read a strategy, you read about how someone else became successful, and then you try to copy that, which is great. But you try to copy that in a perfect way. And even worse, you feel like if you don't copy that person perfectly, don't copy that strategy perfectly, it won't work for you. And you tend to feel like everything you did was in vain because it was not perfect. And it's a cycle that it's just non-stop. Perfectionism will stop you from doing what you feel like doing because of very small imperfections. I say that the moment I realized I'm a perfectionist, I tended to go to the other extreme. I felt like everything I did was kind of I was trying to make everything perfect, which was not the case. It's okay to make it nice. I'm referring here to a cover, to the cover of your book, to an article, a video, a course, or your website. But don't sweat the small details. If you sweat the small details, you will get to a point where you don't want to launch because it's not perfect. Think about it this way: perfectionism will stop you from doing whatever you feel like doing. Will stop you from launching an e-course. Will stop you from launching your book. Will stop you from publishing your first article, or will stop you from publishing or launching your website. And usually it's not because you didn't finish or you only have one page on your website. Usually it's because the font was not right, or your pictures were not right. You want to go and retake your pictures, and this little stuff that you feel like you need to make it perfect. Okay, I've shared this twice. So embrace the process, as we've talked before. And there's a famous quote by Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, who said that if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. And this couldn't be more true. It's true for the tech world. He was referring to the tech world, but it's also true with your course, with your website, or with your videos. How do you actually check if you are a perfectionist? And maybe not if you're a perfectionist, but if you are trying, if perfectionism gets in the way of you doing a particular task or launching a particular project. Think about it this way. If you feel tensioned, worried, unworthy, and you start to doubt yourself, you're being a perfectionist. That's it, period. If you enjoy it, if you don't get attached, if you don't get your self-worth attached to the actual product, you're not a perfectionist. Okay? Comparison, I believe that actually leads to perfectionism. And I want to talk about the 3 mistakes people do when they compare themselves to other people. The first one is the famous quote that comparison is a thief of joy. If you actually hurt yourself if you compare yourself to other people, and you cannot compare your level 1 with someone else's level 15 or 50 or 100. Okay? The second mistake is that you expect to be as good, as professional, as wealthy, confident, and connected as people that have started 5, 10, or even 20 years ago. And here I want to share an example from Marie Forleo, for example. When I've joined B-School, and maybe Eleanor relates to this because she's in the group as well. When I've started, I saw Marie, and she has these very professional videos, and I was like, oh my God, I will never be like that. Or not that, but if I wanted to launch a video or to put a video of myself out there, I felt like I had to be as good as her in order to feel satisfied or feel good about myself. But she started doing videos, I believe, at least 3 years ago, 2 or 4 years ago. And the best thing you can do is to go back and see the videos. See how they did when they started out. See how they did when they were in your place. If you're comparing your articles to someone else's articles, go and search through the archives and see how did they write their articles in the beginning. If you're comparing your book to someone else's book, go and look how many books did they publish before that particular book. If they're good at public speaking, go and search, or even ask, how many years do they have experience in public speaking, or how many events did they attend? Oh, I'm glad it's working, Dan. Thank you. Okay, and the third mistake is that you compare yourself with people that started differently than yourself. Hint, Donald Trump. I know it's it's a big topic in the US, and I keep in touch by watching The Daily Show, but you cannot Donald Trump started out by getting a loan from his father for $1 million. And if you're only starting with $1,000 or even $10,000, your journey will be so different. You need to find the people that started the same as you started, and that are now where you want to get, and kind of try to duplicate their journey. Okay, don't compare yourself to people that started differently than yourself. I mean, you can, but it doesn't do you any good. As a rule, don't listen to everyone out there, no matter how successful they are. If it doesn't resonate with you, forget it. Here I want to share another story with you of how perfectionism can paralyze you. A client of mine once felt so paralyzed because she heard an online guru, I'm not going to share the name, talking about posting on all social platforms. And he said that you need to post different updates on all your social platforms. Now imagine that she is a one-man show, one-woman show, trying to make it online, trying to make it big online. If she tries to do a perfect job on social media, she won't have the time or energy to do much else. The thing is that people can do what the guru suggested because they have an entire team behind their business doing social media. It's not just a one-man show. They have probably 1 or 2 people taking care of social media, and they can publish 5 times per day unique content on each social platform. Okay, but if you're one-man show, it's hard to be all over the place, and if you try to do that, it might kill your business, especially with social media, which, if you ask me, if you apply the 80-20 rule, 20% of your work brings in 80% of the revenue. Social media 9 out of 10 times tends to be in the 80% of the task that bring you 20% results. Okay, how successful they are. Listen to your gut. If it resonates with you, go ahead and do it. Okay. I see perfectionism as being another form of procrastination. You tend to convince yourself that you need to change something at your website, at your offer, at your pages, at your course, at your book, at your services every week, so that you can escape doing the important projects. This way, you keep yourself busy, but you don't do the work that can bring you the most important results. I've been in that boat for such a long time. I was always searching for the next strategy, a new strategy, replying to emails and writing some articles, but I never focused on creating valuable content, doing these webinars, interviewing people, and connect with other people through interviews, and build those stronger relationships. And that kept me stuck for such a long time. Perfectionism is another form of procrastination. Take a look at your life, at your business, at your projects, and see if you're trying to avoid your important projects by changing something or keeping yourself busy through this small projects. Also, I like to see perfectionism as fear. If you've read the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, she shared a very nice perspective on fear. She said that you can listen to it, you can accept its opinion, but don't let it run your life. She was referring to fear, but I feel it's the case with perfectionism as well. You can listen to the voices that tell you that you need to do that, and the other one in order to be perfect, and only then you can launch your website or put a video of yourself out there. Listen to it, accept that he, she, it can have an opinion, but don't let it run your life. Don't let it decide what your actual steps are going to be. This was with perfectionism, which I believe to be a very important topic. If you have any questions, let me know. Write in the chat box, and I will do my best to answer. Let's drink some water. I don't usually speak that much, so my mouth is not used to getting so dry. So the fifth block is I don't have the money to build a successful business. And I believe there is, as I like to call it, the block behind the block. I first heard this, I believe, at Wayne Dyer. He was referring to the thought behind the thought. And I feel is the case here as well. The block behind the block here is that you don't feel worthy of having money. You believe money is bad, or you believe being a business person makes you bad. But let's clarify something. There is not more money in the world for the poor just because you choose to have less. You're not doing anyone a favor if you choose to have less money. Okay? If, however, you choose to have more, there can also be more money for the poor as well, because you can contribute, you can donate, you can help. But first you need to help yourself. First, you need to put yourself first on the list. Okay? Even Richard Branson said at one point, you cannot change the world when you're first starting in business. Focus on making your first million. Focus on becoming successful. And then you can add the contribution side and contribute even more and dedicate yourself to building a better world. Okay? But it really depends on your services, because you can actually build a better world through your services. I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a few minutes. Having money, as I see it, is a self-love act. I believe we are made of body, mind, and soul. And if we really love ourselves, we need to take care of each part of our unlimited being. You cannot love yourself and dress your body in ugly and cheap clothes, or go for days without taking a shower and eat from the can every day. I don't see that as self-love. Also, in order to make this self-love act easier, you need money to purchase the best possible clothes, the best material things, and eat the most natural food and go in the most natural vacation. Okay? It's okay to have lots of money. And I have kind of like two case studies here. Ellen DeGeneres and Leo DiCaprio. Let's look at Ellen DeGeneres. Just because she's worth a few $100 million does not mean that she has to give everything away just to prove that she's a good person. No, she contributes to the world in her own way. And remember that making people smile, helping people be happy or healthy or wealthy, making people forget about their hardships counts as contribution as well. You are helping the world. You don't have to have money in order to contribute to the world in any way. Okay? When it was with Hurricane Katrina, Ellen did not give $20 million away from her own money. She contributed with a small part, but she used her influence to raise the amount of money needed for that particular project. Okay, this is contribution as well, because she used her influence in a way that created more good in the world. Leonardo DiCaprio, he fights for our planet, and he raised billions of dollars for research about renewable energy and awareness on global warming. This, however, doesn't mean that he doesn't fly first class, or probably he has a private jet, doesn't wear the best clothes, sleep at the best hotels, and eats the best possible food. No, above all, he loves himself. He knows that he cannot militate for a better world if he's not feeling at his best. It's the same with you. You cannot help the world, you cannot help your loved ones if you don't take care of yourself first. Not putting yourself first, not investing in yourself, will fill you with lots of frustrations and resentments, and you don't need that. You don't need that in your creative work. Okay? Wayne Dyer said that you cannot give others what you don't have yourself. You cannot give love or compassion if you don't have them yourself. You will always give what you have more. If you have frustrations, if you have resentments, you will give that. And that's not contribution. If you have love, giving it all doesn't make you a better person. Okay? Money is just another form of energy. Use it for your own good first, okay? But also help make the world a better place. If you can find the balance between the two, you will be happy and successful at the same time. I feel like money is spiritual. Money is good. I believe that greed makes money bad. Not money, not the money in fact are bad, but greed makes it bad. And also, if balance is everything in life, then why do people still believe that not having money makes us more imbalanced? It doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right. Giving more to others than you give yourself is not balanced either. Spending time in service to others while you don't have time for yourself is not balanced either. Always look for the balance. Take care of yourself, and at the same time contribute to others, to choose your causes and help others as well. Block number 6. If I become vulnerable, people won't want to work with me because they see all my junk. That's really not the case. Becoming vulnerable means that you accept yourself for who you are and you accept your imperfections. Who needs to work with you will appreciate you for who you are and will see that as a strength, not as a weakness. It's very important that when you present some fears, doubts, or tough times, to present them from a place of owning them and not from a victim state. A hard truth is that the moment you decide that you want to become successful, you want to become known, you need to accept that some people will not like you no matter what you do or how much you try to please everyone. And that is okay. You don't need to work with anyone. You need to identify your ideal client avatar, who is the client that you would absolutely love to work with, and he or she is the only person that you're trying to impress. You don't actually care about the other ones. And you can look at other successful people out there. Let's take Elizabeth Gilbert, for example, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love and Big Magic. She became, she kind of put herself out there by writing a book about herself and her journey to become a more spiritual person. And that book was a top seller, I believe, for almost 200 weeks. That's almost 4 years. But she had so many hate letters. You don't have to read those hate letters. You only focus on your ideal client avatar. You don't need more clients. You need clients that you enjoy working with. If you spend too much energy in working with someone that you don't like, or in serving someone that you don't like, you will accumulate a lot of frustration and negative energy, especially if the price is not right. Again, you don't need frustration in your creative work. It will stop all your creative juices, and will only bring in more and more frustration, and those thoughts that you're not worth it, and the whole negative cycle. You can stop the cycle by choosing your clients. Think about what's your ideal client avatar. Age, gender, industry, income, marital status, values, beliefs, interests, hobbies, even favorite books and events that she or he attends. Go deeper and think about what problems does she or he have? What keeps him or her up at night? If you download the PDF, you have a special section there that where you can actually write these things down inside the PDF and save it for later use. I also share my my ideal client avatar to give you an idea of what to look for and how you can present. One thing to keep in mind, when you're starting out, don't focus so much on getting this ideal client right. It's kind of impossible to know the person you would love to work with until you have your first client. Allow yourself time to have your first client, to serve someone, and that will help you clarify who's your ideal client. When I first started out doing the first webinar, I thought I wanted to serve only health coaches, for example, because that was the opportunity as I started doing a webinar. But as I evolved and I had clients, I realized that what I really want to work with are creative people, and they can be coaches, consultants, designers, artists, authors, bloggers, or whatever is creative. But it took me about 4 or 5 months to get clear. And again, in 6 months, I might get even clearer on what's my ideal client. Pick something, go with that, start somewhere, and allow yourself to fail, and allow yourself time to actually get clearer and clearer with every day that passes on what's your ideal client. The 7th block is that I cannot move forward unless I become crystal clear on what I want. And it's kind of related to what we've talked about a second ago. There's kind of a myth that you need to become clear on what you want if you want to be successful and achieve all your goals. I see it as the foundation of being successful, but you cannot postpone starting a business or launching a project or putting yourself out there because you're not crystal clear on what you want. It can be your perfectionist side talking again, and if that's the case, you will never reach a point where you will feel like you are clear enough on your goals or on your vision. It will always be something else. It's our nature of being human. And you can get clearer and clearer, as I said, by doing something, by taking action. There's so much power in taking action. If there's one lesson that I've learned, and I said that I've learned, but I'm still having a hard time remembering it sometimes, because again, change takes time, and I've thought like the old way for 20 years, and I'm working on allowing myself at least a year to change that pattern. Is that you learn as you go. You get more clear by doing something. In September, as I said, I've started. I had a vision, but that vision is not even close to the vision I have right now for my own business. But if I didn't start, if I've postponed it so much to become clear, or where I want to get in 6 months or 1 year, I would have never started anything. Allow yourself to fail. And I want to share some more examples of how I failed. I wouldn't say I failed, but I changed the copy. I changed my vision. I changed my ideal client avatar about 4 or 5 times in the first 6 months in business. I've changed the headlines on my homepage 10 or 12 times in about 8 weeks. But it was very important to me to at least have a headline and not postpone until I get the perfect headline. The perfect headline will come with time. You also need to accept that you evolve, and your copy, your services, your product will evolve with you. You will always need to change something. I've also changed my autoresponders a couple of times as well. Just in the past, I believe 2 months. But again, it's a process. Remember the quote. I'm gonna share it again. If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. You can learn so much by actually launching and failing. You couldn't learn that much by sitting at your desk and thinking about the perfect way of launching a particular project. Start where you are with what you've got. It's a famous quote by Les Brown. It's more important to start perfectly. Strive for excellence instead of perfection. And also choose faith over fear. Fear can keep you stuck, can keep you in a place of not being worthy, but faith will allow you to get started and know that you will get the answers, the solutions. You will see the rest of the road at the perfect time for you. The 8th block is about I will never be like XYZ. It's about comparison again. And because while working on this webinar, on creating this this presentation, I realized that sharing 10 blocks would have been too long. I've decided to only share 8 blocks, but you can read the rest of them, 5 more, in a PDF that you will get access to in a few minutes after the webinar. Just look for my email. I don't want it to keep you much longer after 1 hour. So the last block is I will never be like XYZ, and my answer is of course, because you are unique. You have your unique gifts, unique weaknesses, and unique strengths. Again, comparison is the steal of joy. And I recommend that, the thief of joy, sorry. I recommend that the only person you compare yourself starting today is with yourself. You don't have the same journey as the people you're constantly comparing yourself with. The only healthy comparison you can make is, am I better than yesterday? Am I better than a month, 6 months, or a year ago? If the answer is yes, then you are moving in the direction of your dreams. Just be patient. Enjoy the process. If the answer is no, take a minute to analyze your life and see what changes or improvements you can make that will put you back on track. However, I believe it's really hard to escape the cycle of constant comparison, and you will definitely do it again, even if you realize that it's not helping you. But as I said in the tips section of this webinar, it takes time to change a pattern, and you need to allow yourself that time to work with that pattern. Make a decision every day that you stay disciplined and you want to overcome that particular block, because it helps you, and at the same time it helps the world. Don't compare your level 1 with someone else's level 20 or 30 or 50. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, and I'm gonna share again. Look how they did it when they first started out. It's a healthy, if you still want to compare yourself with someone else, which can be healthy as long as you are not doing it daily. Compare yourself with, compare your level 1 with someone else's level 1 or level 2. But don't go further than that. Not even level 5 is healthy. Okay? Compare yourself to yourself. Accept that your journey is unique. You don't have to, your journey doesn't have to be like anyone else's journey in order to prove that you're worthy, that you are successful, or anything else. Okay? This was it. Remember to claim your gift if you haven't already. You can just click the button below the video. You get access to 2 sessions of coaching with me, 60 minutes coaching on your blocks, 30 minutes about your vision, about your goals, and a full website review. All worth $497. If you have any questions, now is the right time to ask them. Until you decide and write, I'm gonna drink some more water. I'm glad I managed to keep it around 1 hour. I don't want to keep you the entire night. Well, it's only night at me. It's only night for me. For you, if you're in the States, it's probably 3 or 4 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. What kind of coach did you work with? I've worked with a life coach. Thanks for joining, Diane. Thanks for joining. Look for my email to get the first part of the webinar. Elinar, I worked with a coach, but she is a life coach actually. Even though she has some knowledge about business and about success, the main reason I went to her is for life coaching. At the time, I was also dealing with some bad anxieties and even panic attacks, and she helped me overcome those. But after I've actually healed my anxieties, I've decided to go further and go deeper and discover more and more blocks that were keeping me stuck. And because of that, or at least that was one of the reasons why, if before B school and before working with a coach, I could never write an article or do a webinar. In after that, I mean, my fiance Rosvita always believed in myself, believed in me, but I couldn't see that side of myself. And since I've invested in B school and started working with a coach, I've wrote 35,000 words last year. I had my first speaking gig, and I've also started doing this webinars, which were such a big step out of my comfort zone. Thank you so much, Eleanor. Thank you so much. If you don't have any other questions, then this was it. I'm happy that you joined, and thank you for joining. Look for my email in a few minutes to download download the PDF, the bonus PDF. I'm also going to share with you a video that has, I believe, 1,000 affirmations, mindset affirmations, abundance, money affirmations that will help you. You can listen to it every now and then while you're washing the dishes, for example, as I do it, or while you're doing yoga. It's on YouTube. It's free. So, but it has helped me a lot, and I'm sure it will help you. It will help you too. I will also give you a link to something that has helped me a lot in dealing with stress. Is Rescue Remedy, are pastilles of Rescue Remedy that you can take anytime you're feeling stressed or worried, or you're in a big fight, or you feel like you're not worth it, or you failed, and all that stuff. And they've helped me so much, and I want to share with other entrepreneurs, because we kind of all go through the same journey, and it's not always fun to be an entrepreneur. This was it. Thanks again for joining, and look for my email in a few minutes. Thank you.